Hello and welcome to News 18 Presents Yuva Bharat, and we're looking at the NEP 2020 and the various facets of it. And today, in this edition, along with Rishabh Shah, President of IIMUN, we have two principals, two students, as we try and explore multidisciplinary learning approach. Is it prevalent in our current system? And when we adapt ourselves and move into NEP 2020, where is it? What are the pitfalls? What are the opportunities? How well can it be implemented? And what is the gap between what is expected and what is currently prevalent? So we'll talk about all these aspects, but Rishabh, set it up for us and take us through why we have Geeta ji, Anupama ji, Naomi and Anjali with us today.
No, I think firstly, thank you to you and the network for allowing us to do something like this on national television, because I think the national education policy and issues that are pertinent to young people are so relevant. And to dedicate an entire show to do this is really commendable. The topic at hand and the multidisciplinary learning approach, and I think that I really wish that this had come in a little earlier, because for those people who are not as academically gifted as myself, the distinction between co-curricular and that which is curricular, that is now diminishing. And that's what the NEP talks about. The fact that a student can actually, there's no broad, hard division between the two. And the emphasis that is going to be put on other things apart from just your curriculum. And that's such an important thing. But for a person who is, like I said, for young students, it might be very interesting, given the fact that now you are able to choose different subjects. So you're able to marry humanities along with art and along with science. So a student is able to take physics and also pursue history at the same point in time. Let me ask Anjali your thoughts on the new education policy and this new multidisciplinary approach. Do you think it's an exciting time to be in? And do you wish that you were in grade 7 just like me all over again, so that we can experience the whole thing ground up?
Yes, definitely. I remember the day that NEP came out, and I was sort of jealous of my juniors because I'll not get to experience that in school life because I'll be graduating next year. But other than that, I think NEP and its approach to multidisciplinary education is very important right now, because co-curricular and vocational education, it provides some values to students that we cannot learn from textbook education. Discipline that is required for regular practice of these activities, the scope of innovativeness that is there in these activities that you'll never get in textbooks in subjects like mathematics or sciences or social sciences. So I think that the provisions of the NEP, that is internship with local professionals at school level and at college level, there is the scope of integrating humanities, STEM subjects. I think that's a great step for India to go ahead into multidisciplinary education.
But and let me take this to Geeta Patnaik ji, who's been kind enough in order to join us from the CARE International School in Trichy. Ma'am, as an academician who prepares students to go to different colleges and as one of the more reputed schools across the country, let me ask you this question. Do you think that it is going to be an easy transition in today's day and age? And we were discussing about the same issue last week as well, where cutoffs have reached in colleges almost 100%. In St. Xavier's in Bombay, you had the first list cut off about 97, 98%, and the Hindu college of 100% cut off. Now, this multidisciplinary approach is great, but the transition from the current academic structure that we have in our country, where it's all about numbers and marks, all the way to this multidisciplinary approach, don't you think that entire transition is going to be very difficult? And especially given the fact, and this is something that I keep mentioning when it comes to the new education policy and education, that it's a concurrent subject. It's not necessarily a subject that is governed only by the center. So to that point, don't you think the transition will be much easier if, say, for example, you had one regulatory authority implementing the NEP?
Yeah, rightly said that it will be difficult, but if I take my school, CARE International School as such, we never have seen this co-curricular activities and curricular activities separately. Point number one. Point two is we always try to include all these activities along with the curriculum and go ahead. But when children come to class 10th, class 11 and class 12, the mindset is such that marks are very, very essential. So we have been talking to parents, talking to children, and preparing them for both, whereas these marks are taking the center stage. Because as they go for admissions, go out to take admissions into various colleges where there is no entrance examination, how many co-curricular activities you have done, how many multidisciplinary approach, multidisciplinary projects you have done, what are the other problem solving skills you are having. Nobody is going to look at it. Ultimately, the mark is becoming very, very important in many colleges. So parents are looking forward to it. So we are preparing children for both. And I must thank Ayman has taken a really big step ahead to train children, not only at the national level, but also have given exposure to the international level to think beyond the books. I really thank you. And there are a lot of things to be done in this. But if we can change the mindset, not only of the parents, but also other education institutions, I hope government will do something about it, that let these marks only will fade away and take care of the skills of the students.
Ma'am, thank you for bringing that point out. But it's your school and a few institutions form, like, as Anand rightly always says, that 2 to 5% of the entire space in the education fraternity. It's 1.3 million schools at the end of the day, ma'am. And
exactly.
It's a rat race to eventually get into those colleges, which are the most sought after colleges across the country. This multidisciplinary approach is very good on paper, ma'am. And let me take this to the principal who's joining us, of KCIS, who's joining us. Ma'am, Anupama ji, my question to you is this, that on paper, all of this looks great. But at the end of the day, are those 1.3 million schools going to be in a position in order to implement something like a multidisciplinary approach? When at the end of the day, the institutions who are taking them in, the higher learning institutions that are taking them in, both in India and world over, the emphasis is more on marks, and especially in most of the colleges that the students eventually get in. Do you think that it's going to be possible, this transition at all? Or it's a very utopian paper, जैसे पेपर लिखते हैं, वो पेपर पे लिखते हैं और बोलते हैं कि ये भी करना चाहिए, ये भी करना चाहिए और ये भी करना चाहिए. But at the end of the day, वो policy अच्छी दिखती है on paper, but it's almost impossible to implement per se. Ma'am, your thoughts?
Good morning, all of you. It's really a beautiful platform where we are discussing something very, very important, and we are discussing something very, very essential. So what I strongly feel that it's really good to see two students here on this platform, and thank you to Ayman, who is bringing all these things together and thinking for the welfare point of view for the students. So what I strongly feel, the moment we have seen this drastic change, it's a big change in our education policy, and this NEP 2020 is there in front of us now, and we are going to put the entire thing what is there in the NEP 2020 into action. See, what is my understanding as a human being about education? What I feel, it's about a holistic development of a person. It's about somehow making a person more and more valuable member of the society, more contributing member of the society. And society formation, it starts from us. So when this NEP is there, it's really great to see the flexibility of NEP, where more and more chances are given to go with skill subjects, where skill is introduced, where skill is integrated. So when we come to know about holistic and overall development of a person, a student, here it's very essential to know about the actual learning, the permanent learning of the student for the lifetime learning. So when it comes to higher studies, when it comes to marks-oriented studies, we must understand where a child can easily and nicely learning the content and then putting the entire learning into action. And automatically, even if it is completely on paper, I'm sure if children, they are studying their choice subject, their choice skill training they are getting, of course on paper also it can be in a very, very fruitful way, and children, they will be getting wonderful marks and there will be no issue with very good marks and cutoff and not getting admission in good colleges.
See, there is a certain level because there is also pull and push, demand and supply. So when you
Yes.
increase the supply in a certain way, automatically the demand will also, construct
True.
itself. Or
Very
courses will get modified.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I'm quoting it and I'm saying it by experience, because when I graduated, advertising and mass communication was just one subject. You couldn't do a bachelor's in mass communication. Now you can do a bachelor's in mass communication, you can do a master's in mass communication, and then you can also do an MBA
Yes,
going ahead.
yes.
So courses got structured and altered based on how curriculum started getting defined,
Yes.
and you started looking at options. But Naomi and Anjali, would you want to look at multidisciplinary options? Because some of you would have either missed the bus. The next generation, those who are in third, fourth, fifth standard today, will perhaps have more options than you would have today. But how do you view this? Let me start with Naomi. And Geeta ji, Anupama ji, let's listen into the students now. Yes, Naomi.
So, as a student myself, I often hear my peers talking about if they want to get into a certain field, if someone wants to get into something related to arts, that they don't need to study science. They give 10 years of their life to studying it, but they aren't interested in it. So many times, since marks are so important, their marks get reduced because they weren't interested in a particular subject. And that's why they can't go ahead with their career. But the multidisciplinary approach actually makes education customized for everybody. It allows people to choose what they want to do and gives them the liberty to do that together. It doesn't restrict people. It pushes students to live up to their full potential. And it is also more application based, which is where the vocational approach comes into picture. You are not only just reading about a particular subject, but you are also being taught how to use that in your daily life. You are learning how to do what is said in the book and not just learning it so that you can go and write it in your exam paper. So according to me, if this was implemented rightly, it would really push students to have a better experience at learning and at education. And the youth of the country would be privileged to get so many options and choices.
Yeah, I think that can trigger a change in mindset. But again, a change in mindset isn't just something so simple to immediately change. It will take some time. But definitely, if we provide the choice, the freedom to choose different subjects for someone who is interested in taking physics and interior designing, I think that will give them the courage to actually go ahead with it, even if they are facing any kind of comments that tell them that no, they should not do this, they should just stick to the sciences, or these other subjects are inferior. So giving them the choice will be sort of an encouragement for students to go ahead with it.
But given a choice, what would you like to study? What are you studying now, and what would you like to go ahead and do? You're in grade 12. You're studying in Bhopal. So where do you want to? Would you want an option tomorrow where maybe somebody in the future gets to learn political science, can also learn modern art, but go on to become a lawyer?
Yes, I think definitely there should be some sort of chance for someone to change careers, some bridge course that can maybe at some point of time the student realizes that they want to go into something different. They don't feel the same connection with what they're studying right now. So there should be some kind of change, the track of change, the bridge courses that can help them cope up with whatever they have left behind that they were not able to study so far, and then join the course that they want to study. For example, like you said, law after studying arts and political science. So I think we can do that.
Did your parents decide for you what you are supposed to study, where you should go, or did they give you the choice?
There was sort of a tussle. They wanted me to study sciences, but they were comfortable with others also, but they preferred if I had sciences, but I went ahead with humanities.
You went ahead with humanities. So they allowed you to make that choice. But
Yes.
Naomi, did your parents have a plan for you already? कि मेरी बेटी यहाँ पढ़ेगी, फिर abroad जाएगी, तो these are the 4 universities जहाँ उसको try करना है, उसके लिए उसको इतना पढ़ना पड़ेगा, ये सब कुछ plan बनाया था Excel sheet में?
I was lucky enough that my parents gave me the liberty to choose, because at the end of the day, they had a mindset that irrespective of what I study, when I get a job or when I start working, I will have to do it. And if I have just studied it for the sake of it, I'm not going to be good at what I'm doing. And so even if I get into a certain college, that doesn't mean that suppose I would have taken a science because they asked me to, I would not be good at a job that I would get after doing my sciences.
But today, do you still have this issue, Geeta ji, where parents have Excel sheets drawn up? They've already decided what their children should become. And is there a closure to try and understanding, because they want to see what they have come through rather than looking at what are the practices today? Do you have situations where children, they come and say, my son or my daughter has not been given what is 12 into 12? But rather than saying, does your child understand the concept of multiplication, addition, subtraction, division, from ground up, because the whole approach has to change.
Yeah, you're right. That approach needed to be changed. We have to give exposure to the parents, and parents must understand that once my child clears class 10th or 12th, there's a big opportunity for my child to go anywhere and get a job. Like what you are talking about, I'm talking about larger part of parents is maybe rural areas or semi-urban areas. The parents know 2-3 jobs only around. One is advocate, lawyer, as a CA, or an engineer, or a doctor. That's all. And nothing beyond to that, and is an IAS or an IPS officer.
Anupama ji, I'll just bring in Anupama ji and get her thoughts and then hand it back to you, Rishabh. Because somewhere the mindset is, bachche ko kya pata hai? How does the child know? I have to know. I have to decide it for my child. And this comes not just with the parents, somewhere the teachers and the institution also is responsible, and the overall system is also responsible. But if we start giving and start looking where the child's aptitude is, and that will happen only when you test the child across disciplines and give the child the power to choose. Where do you stand on that, Anupama?
Anandji, what I feel that the planning of this NEP took a long time to put entire thing, on paper, and now it is ready to be implemented. But what I feel that students should be ready, and parents should understand that we are making them ready for life. And choices change, situations change. So why to restrict a person that you are only meant for these 2 things and not for the 3rd and 4th thing? Nothing wrong if child is more equipped with the skills, more knowledge, because we should be giving hands-on experiments when the child is mingling with different category, different group of people in the process of learning so many things. So finally, it's gelling with all the situations, and we are making a student that citizen who can take up all the life challenges and face life situations. That is actually important.
We have to move to a state, Rishabh, where children are writing the exam not to get marks, and they're not writing exams, but they're being evaluated to see where they stand and grade them in such a way that they are placed in the right vocation and in the right discipline, which will enable them to carve out and maximize their own individual abilities. That's how we'll have to transform the way we teach, the way we evaluate, and then the way we educate. But Rishabh, yeah.
Right. No, I think all the panelists basically agree that a multidisciplinary approach is the way forward. It's also about implementing the multidisciplinary approach. What you said rightly, a child is like a blank canvas. It's about what you do with the blank canvas that is going to determine the future, not just of that child, but of the country. And to that end, to sum this up, earlier the education system was much like this. We used to give the students a fish, and we used to feed them for a day. Now we basically teach them how to fish. The new education policy is equipping them how to fish, and therefore, in a small way, teaching them how to fend for themselves for a lifetime. So I think the multidisciplinary approach is much like that. And on that note, with your permission, Anand, I would like to thank all the panelists for joining in. Geeta Patnaik ji, Anupama ji, Naomi, Anjali, and of course the executive editor who's always smiling. Thank you very much. If you have been watching.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.